Alrighty. See a few people jumped on. Hi, Cheryl. Hello, everyone. We'll get started here in just a moment. Give a chance for everyone to jump on. So you are in Dallas. So is it like crazy hot there right now?
Is there an echo? Or
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, is it not
What,
very clear?
what did you ask about Dallas?
I just said, is it getting really hot there now?
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, like it's already. I think it's 100. No, it's 97, but
Oh gosh.
it feels like 100. It's too early. It always does this, but it's usually not until like July, August, or August is usually the worst.
Yeah. I mean, I was there like in May, and it was, or no, it was March. Uh, when was that? Yeah, in March, and it was already getting hot. Jenny, to answer your question, you are on mute. Your camera is off. We will have a time for question and answer at the end. So you're good to go in that regard. Always feel free to use the chat box if you think of a question so we can, get to it at the end so you don't forget about your question. So utilize that question and answer box and your camera, and you are on mute currently. Alrighty, we'll give it just a few more minutes. You're welcome. We'll give it just a few more minutes here. For the people that are on, I do like to view the webinar in speaker view. I think it's just kind of an easier way to see the PowerPoint and Lane. So if you click view on the upper right, it'll give you the option for speaker view, and it'll give you a nice side-by-side of both the PowerPoint and Lane. Lane, you can go ahead and share your screen when you're ready.
Can we get 4th of July plans?
My parents live on a lake, so we'll go spend the weekend up there and with the family and the nephews and that kind of thing. How about you?
Nice. I'm going to New Mexico.
Oh, that's exciting.
In-laws house.
Oh,
Yeah,
fair.
hang out. They always do a big thing every year.
Yeah.
They live on a river.
Oh,
So
perfect.
the backyard
Yeah.
is
Awesome.
pretty nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. Sounds like it. Yeah, the lab is closed on the 4th and the 5th. So we're shut down on the 5th. So it'll be nice to have
Yeah.
an extended
Then you
weekend.
don't get avalanche with orders
Nope, not
on
on
the
the 5th.
Friday after a major like the most major holiday of the year.
Nope. Yep. And on
Yeah.
top of that, on a Friday in general. So it'll be pretty quiet.
Yeah. Yeah. That's traditionally a very slow day in marketing land. Not a
Yeah,
lot of
the
people
whole
are.
week is pretty slow typically. I know Tara and I were planning out our marketing for July. We always, have a meeting at the end of the month for everything for the next month, that's the thing. And I was like, we're just gonna lay low that week.
Yeah.
Don't waste our energy.
Mm.
All right, everyone. So we'll go ahead and get started here, Lane, if you want to go ahead and share your screen.
All right.
Thank you everyone for joining. Like I had mentioned, for those that jumped on since I have said that, you are on mute and your camera is off. So that is correct. We will open the floor up for questions at the end. So you will be able to ask those questions then, and we can unmute you at that time. But you always utilize the question and answer box throughout the webinar, so you don't forget about any questions you may have during the webinar. Thank you for joining us. Like I had mentioned, this is our monthly webinar, so we have these topics, these different types of webinars every single month. The best way to view the webinar today is in that speaker view. So in the upper right, you can click the view button, and then there's speaker view, and that'll give you a nice side-by-side of Lane and the PowerPoint.
Got disabled screen sharing on my side.
You're good. I just changed it.
Okay, cool.
Sorry. Alrighty. So as you guys know, our topic today is specifically on how to automate patient communication for more delivered appliances now and long term with sleep apnea leads. So feel free to ask those questions, of course, at the end. Utilize that question and answer box throughout the webinar, and we can unmute you and you can discuss anything you have with Lane as soon as we are done. So you will receive a promo code at the end of the webinar and some great marketing material. So make sure you stick around and we'll provide that to you at the end as well. For those of you that are not familiar with True Function, we're a lab located in San Diego, California that strictly specializes in sleep apnea and TMJ appliances. This year, we are actually celebrating our 25th anniversary. So we definitely pride ourselves in having one of the best, some of the best technicians in the industry, which allows us to ensure the best quality of appliances possible at every delivery. And upfront communication if we see anything that would affect that quality of delivery. So with our 7-day business turnaround, our goal is to make sure that you get your patients in treatment as soon as possible. And we're so thankful to have you all join us today to continue your knowledge in the areas of sleep apnea and TMD. We host these webinars monthly. So if there's ever a specific topic you want us to discuss, like we've done a lot of practice growth and clinicals for sleep and TMJ. And of course, today we're going to focus on marketing. Don't hesitate to drop those as well in the chat box, and I can get them set up for a webinar in the future. So now I'd like to introduce our friend here with sleep apnea leads, Lane Rizzardini. So empower yourself in the dental authority on sleep apnea and watch your patient-based referral networks and revenue soar under the expert guidance of Lane Rizzardini. With over 13 years of marketing experience and a plethora of accolades to his name, Lane is your go-to resource for building and expanding your sleep brand. Having collaborated with industry giants and fearlessly taking on competition, Lane's expertise knows no bounds. Based in Dallas, Texas, Lane, alongside his beautiful family, passionately support his favorite Chicago sports teams from afar. Trust Lane to equip you with the tools needed to become your local authority in the realm of sleep apnea and witness the transformative growth of your practice. Alrighty, Lane, well, I'll pass it over to you and let you chat a little bit about marketing and helping them grow their practice.
All right, thanks, Trisha. Appreciate the introduction.
You're welcome.
This is a fun topic because rarely do we get to save time and also serve more patients at the same time. And that's what we're going to talk about today is how you put tools in place to automate communication so that you can save time while getting the most out of all of your marketing efforts and get more patients in the door now and over the course of the long term. But the story starts with how we got to where we are. Started with us like kind of almost not making it. When we started working with our first sleep dentist in Austin back in early 2020, everything that we did actually worked great to drive leads. Having a sleep brand separate from your dental office, having a really great website with all the different pages that talk about the right information specific to the patient situation, running Google ads, having a great local presence, getting reviews, all of this, driving great content, like all of this work to really drive a lot of phone calls and form submissions from interested patients. And I mean, we were getting like 100 to 80 to 100 inquiries a month, and we record all our phone calls. We have all the forms. So we were really excited always going into the meetings with our with our client, and we'd show him all the numbers, and it would look really good. And eventually he just kind of started. He just said, guys, this is, I get it. I see all the names, I see all the people, but I've only really delivered like 1 or 2 appliances this month, and I think we only delivered 1 or 2 from last month, and that's just not going to pay the bill. So, because I don't know what needs to change here, but if something doesn't, like, we're not going to be able to keep doing the program. And I think as we've gotten past this, but we think we've figured out that this is not that uncommon. In fact, it's very common, and it's why you don't see a lot of really marketing agencies focus on sleep like we have, because of this common problem of the ability to generate a lot of leads and have them not really actual patients in chairs. And so I think what we hear is that we've only heard of agencies that aren't willing to really go all in on this like very important space. A lot of marketing agencies that we know like don't even accept sleep clinics because they run into the same problem we did, which was that, hey, you drive a lot of leads, the marketing agency thinks they're doing their job, but the dentist or the doctor doesn't think that isn't seeing the money come in, isn't seeing the patients come in, and so you end up just with a disconnect there on how to move forward. But instead, what we did, instead of kind of abandoning it and just doing something, like roofing or lawyers, whatever, we dove in and really solved this problem of getting leads, turning contact forms into patients in chairs that turn into delivered appliances. And so that's what we're really going to be sharing today, is a lot of just how, like, what we unlocked to do that, which has now led to this same client picking up, 121 patients into their EMR in the first month of this year. And so, but you're here because you've kind of probably had a similar, hopefully something I've said just resonated with you, that marketing has kind of been really tough for your sleep practice. Maybe you're using your dental agency that's done a really good job for your dental practice, if you still have it, but maybe they're struggling on the sleep side. Maybe you had someone kind of try to do social media, make Instagram videos for you. Maybe someone in your office is trying to do a lot of the marketing efforts for you, and just nothing seems to be clicking and really driving the patients in that you've really wanted to, and you just feel like you've tried everything and nothing is working. And that's okay. We hear that all the time. It's how most of our calls start. And I'm here to tell you that it's actually not, it's not Google's fault. It's not Facebook's fault. It's not your dental agency's fault. It's actually the sleep patient. And it's the fact that the sleep patient isn't just entirely unique from any other buyer profile of any service or product really out there, in the sense that your average sleep apnea sufferer does not want nor do they think they really need your services. So just thinking about it's a pretty jarring statement if you really think through it, like, really carefully. Why would anybody do anything they don't want or need? So let's kind of go through like what are wants and needs, right? Like, wants are very easy. People want engagement rings, TVs, things their neighbors want, things their neighbors have, things influencers have. Wants are pretty easy. It's just a matter of who they're going to buy it from for the right price. But if you had to get like your air conditioner fixed recently, or if you had to get like a roof replaced or something like that, like, you didn't want to do that. Like, you didn't want to spend $20,000 getting a new air conditioner, or deal with insurance, or deal with having a bunch of people come in your home and quote you things and having to decide, am I getting a bad deal here or whatever? But like, you did it because you felt like you needed to get air conditioner fixed. Same as, kind of most medical treatments are actually like this, unless it's like a cosmetic procedure. I mean, especially in dentistry, people feel like they need to go to the dentist. They don't want to go to the dentist. but it's something that we're kind of trained to do, and it's just something that you do, but it's a literal phobia for some people. So it's not something that's really that fun, but you do it anyway, so you feel like you need to. And really, psychology here is that like needs really come down to pain or the desire to like alleviate some sort of discomfort that you're experiencing, right? So you pay the money to get your air conditioner fixed because your house is really hot, and that's like painful. That's discomforting. You want to alleviate the concern, so you're willing to spend the thousands of dollars to get it done when you'd probably rather spend that money on a nice vacation. So like if you have a cracked tooth, that's really painful. You want to go to the dentist immediately to get that done. You're basically willing to pay whatever they're going to charge just to get it done fast. But you know, needs aren't always, pain isn't always physical. You can have emotional pain or social societal like stigmas and pain. So like the stigma of like not going to the dentist, like being the guy that it seems kind of gross if you tell someone I don't want to date, you haven't been to the dentist in 5 years, like it's gross, right? So there's a stigma there of like if you haven't gone to the dentist, that's really painful too. So you want to alleviate that. The hard part with sleep is that sleep patients have very little perceived pain if you really think about it, right? Like other than I mean, like sleep divorce is really the most like obvious uh like pain from sleep apnea because like you don't really feel yourself gasping for air in the middle of the night. You don't associate going to the bathroom a lot in the middle of the night with sleep apnea. You don't your snoring is your wife's problem, right? I'm sure you've heard that, right? You're tired, but like, that's kind of for a lot of people that's like a badge of honor that they get to. Oh, I'm just working really hard. My kids keep I get tired. Is everyone's tired if they're working hard and achieving a lot, right? And so they don't really associate that with sleep apnea. And so again, that's where there's very little perceived pain with the actual condition. And so because they have no perceived pain, they have just no urgency to really like do anything about it. And then even in the scenarios where, okay, they think they might have something, they go online, they start looking up symptoms, they start looking up what the process looks like to get done. They say, okay, so it sounds like I have to go get a test. Okay, I have to go to so I have to go to a lab. I have to sleep there overnight. I do this sauna test, and then I have all this stuff attached to my head, and I have to be away from my family for a night, maybe two. And then I don't know if insurance is going to cover that. And then if it like, oh, and if I have it, now I have to get this CPAP thing that's really loud and noisy. And oh, my buddy has one and he hates his. And it looks like some of these things got recalled recently. So I don't want to do this. So then they go online. They realize, okay, they don't want to do it anyways. They have no urgency to do it because they can write off of something else. But then they look at like the treatment and how painful the treatment seems. And so you end up with this problem where the perceived pain of the treatment is worse than the realized pain of the disorder. And they just bury their head in the sand and don't do anything about it, or they get some melatonin or a cheap $20 mouth guard that on Amazon that gives them TMJ later. They're just not. It's just hard to get. This is why they're so unique and so hard to get them to move from lead to patient. And so it's not impossible. It sounds daunting, but we wouldn't be here if it was impossible. None of us would. It just means that we need to do more to convert these like contact forms and phone calls into patients. Because the thing is, as we all know, like more leads doesn't equal more patients. I you know, we know this best. I wish we could have called ourselves sleep apnea patients, but that would have been kind of awkward sounding. So, but we know more than anybody with the thousands of leads that we have coming in, like every month, every year. That like ads and SEO and like all the services that we offer to build the awareness, educate patients, get your brands in front of patients that are looking for sleep apnea treatment near me, CPAP alternatives, testing, like that's all critical to getting. That's called like a critical first step, but by itself, it's going to lead to like kind of a really frustrated staff. They're playing a lot of phone tag with all of these patients. They're wondering why the patient calendar is empty. It's like, well, none of these people are getting in contact with us, and everyone just kind of ends up upset at the end of the day. And so we're going to talk today about now. So we're going to talk now about like how patients should convert, what paths they should take to go become a lead, and then how you convert them, or the best paths to convert them into, in-office appointments and into appliances. So there's two like main ways you want your patients to convert. And the first one is fairly obvious, like phone calls. Phone calls are the best option. You want phone calls. All of your website, your landing pages, everything should be geared towards getting phone calls. Why? Phone calls have a 100% contact rate. You get in contact with 100% of them if you answer the phone. Okay, so obviously, like, you have to make sure your staff has bandwidth to answer the phone when they call. You're preferably answering on the first or second ring. You should preferably hopefully be able to review metrics on like, hey, how many phone calls came in? How many of these are we missing? But if you answer your calls, like, that's an 100% contact rate. And a phone call is so valuable because if someone is online researching, they're in network, right? Like, we're all about quality here. And so to us, like, the highest quality patient is someone that is like on Google, like taking time out of their life to do sleep apnea treatment near me. They find your website, they like what they see, they go on the page, they are taking the time to call you right then and there because they're so interested in finding out more that they're taking time out of their life to do it. And so you got to be there when they're ready. And then those are the most likely to move forward. Like I said, they're willing to make that sacrifice to, like, of time to talk to someone. And so try to get those phone calls like the first contact point. But then from there, like, you should also know what drove, you should have data in the back end to show you like what drove every phone call. Is it your radio ads? Was it your Google business page? Was it your Google ads, Facebook ads? Like, your content that you're running, your mailers, like, you should have phone numbers and a means to understand what drove every phone call, and then really be able to identify the quality of all of these phone calls via, you should have transcripts of all of these calls. And with AI tools now, like, you should be able to get summaries of those transcripts. You don't have to read all of them. But then you should take it a step further and like be able to listen to these calls and tag them and understand, okay, I got 100 phone calls. How many of these turned into scheduled appointments? Or how many of them, or maybe how many of them dropped out? And then you can find out, okay, like, are we not answering questions well enough? Okay, if we only have a 20% conversion rate on these phone calls, that's not good enough. Where are we dropping the ball on answering questions? Maybe we're talking about cost too quickly. Maybe we're talking about the country that the appliances are made in, and we've heard that before. And so having these recordings helps you work with your staff to improve conversion rates. And really, like, we do this for our clients because we want to know ourselves, hey, like, how many actual patients are we delivering to the office, helps us kind of provide transparent ROI. And so it really helps you understand with your marketing company, like, how is this working, what's working and what's not, and where should we be investing more or cutting back. Having just top line phone call numbers are not enough. You really should know how many of those are moving forward into initial appointments in the office. Now let's talk about something that should not be a conversion option that we see pretty often, which is an email address. If you have an email address really prominently on your website, you should really consider removing that. There's a few reasons why that's not really a very good conversion option. One is that it creates a big hole in your marketing tracking. As your marketing guy, I want to know, I want to be able to show you every month, like, here's how many patients I got you, and preferably, like, here's their names and their email addresses and their contact info. And if getting into the weeds a little more here with this, like, I can track every phone call, I can track every form submission, and the contents of both of those things, I can only track if someone clicks on an email on your website. I can't track if they actually sent an email, and I definitely don't know what they said in the email. And so I can't tell you if they were a good patient, if they just needed CPAP supplies. It makes it harder for me to tell you how I'm doing as your marketing guy. And so I think do yourself a favor, do your marketing team a favor, and like just remove that. Really funnel patients to form submissions or phone calls so that it allows you all to have the right transparency with how the marketing is going. But it also does your staff a favor. If your staff is used to managing the phone, they know what a form submission looks like. If they start getting emails that have random subject lines that are getting buried in existing patient emails and insurance company emails and testing company emails, it makes it really hard for them to manage your patient leads, and it puts them at risk of getting buried or just lost in the shuffle because they just don't look that different from anything else. And so to help your staff too by just kind of simplifying that. And then third, and some people this is more of a trigger than others, but like, guys, I get emails every day from companies trying to sell me lead lists of dentists, of you guys, with your names, your email addresses, your phone numbers, so that I can market to you. They get that information by scanning your website and scanning everyone's websites and taking it off. And so if you want to get less spam email, take your email address off your website. You'll get less spam email because it'll be harder for these companies to scrape your website and get your email addresses off of it. So it does you a favor too. Okay, so then the last one is form submissions. And so we typically have 3 types of form submissions on our websites. One we'll talk about that's more physician related. We'll talk about that one later. But the first one that we'll go over is the phone calls are great, but sometimes patients are up late at night, or it's after hours, or maybe they just can't do maybe they're at work and they're doing the research and they can't really do like a phone call with you at that moment. So form submissions are the preferred answer for them. And so the first one we like to have is on every site is a sleep screener. It should have elements of your like an Epworth sleepiness scale or stop bang. It doesn't have to be exactly scientific, but just have some elements, some symptom information on them. Allow the patient to give you some data about them, because this is for patients that are trying to self-diagnose. They're asking Dr. Google, what are the symptoms of sleep apnea? How do I know if I have sleep apnea? What are the dangers of sleep apnea? And ideally, your ads or good SEO is driving them to a symptoms page on your website, or a what is sleep apnea, kind of an educational page. And this is where this form should really live primarily. And it should help them kind of feel like, oh, okay, I'm able to get a little bit of a score, or I'm able to give the staff a little bit of information so that when I get some information, when I talk to someone, they'll be able to tell me a little more about, hey, I'm probably at risk or not. The key here, and the thing that we see done incorrectly a lot, is that this must be a form that collects the patient's information before giving really them any information. So 2 ways we've seen this that are not the right way to do it, and you're kind of missing out on free patients this way, is like we've seen it, one, as a PDF on your site, or just as like a page where the questions are just kind of on the page and there's no way to submit their answers. Obviously, if it's just text and they can't submit anything, you can't get their patient info. But I promise you, if you're using like a PDF, like no one is filling out, like downloading that PDF on their phone, filling it out, emailing it back to you. That's like a 0% conversion rate. Like no one's doing that in 2024. And so if it's a PDF, you should really convert that to a form, like as quickly as you can. I promise you will get way more people filling it out and an ability to kind of talk, more opportunities to have good conversations with patients and move them forward with testing or treatment. Usually testing, because these patients, if they have a CPAP already, they know they have sleep apnea. They don't need to fill this out. The other option we see sometimes is you'll see some fancy versions where, like, if you click the symptoms, it'll ramp up a score of like really high risk or moderate or mild risk, and that looks nice. Maybe it creates emergency, but usually we see the kind of call to action is like, oh, well, give us a call to schedule treatment. And I think that's a really, again, what we said, these patients have very little urgency. They're like really reluctant to get treatment. They'd probably rather ignore the problem. And so if you put it in their hands to call you, you're probably missing out on a large number of patients that, if you just made it a form that they had to submit before kind of getting the information from your staff directly, you're going to get a lot more patients and a lot more at bats to get patients in the chair this way, as opposed to the way I just described. So very important. We see that a lot. Worth seeing what your website looks like. And if you don't have anything like this at all, great to have, get it on there. But again, make it a form and not one of those other options. And then the other option is to say a standard contact form. We all know what these are. These should really be, this is really for all your other pages. And most importantly, should be on every other page. Really, for conversion rate optimization reasons, your patients on every page, no matter where they are, they should be able to very easily find your phone number or submit a form without having to leave the page that they're on. And so you don't have to have the form like at the top or anything. It can be at the bottom and have buttons that kind of push them down to the form or push them up to the form or whatever. But they really should not have to leave the page they're on to be able to contact you in some way. The other best practice is that the fewer form fields, the better. Less is best. We get a lot of clients that understandably like want to get, want the patient to tell them what insurance they have. Have they had a sleep test in the last 3 years? What is their subscriber ID? Are they a DOT driver? Wait, that's not the right way to say that. Do they need Department of Transportation testing, right? And that's, I understand why you want that, but we always see every single time when we add a bunch of fields like that, the number of form submissions goes down significantly. And so it's really, we always end up reverting it, and then all the contact forms come back. And so really, like, less is best. Just collect that information over the phone. You'll get it. It's okay. It's worth doing it that way, and just having fewer fields, just get them to you so that you can answer the right questions, expose the pain that they're really having, and move them forward. But you're also going to see on this form, this is probably a little different than most of the forms that you see. And this is one of our special tricks that allows us to get really high quality leads and really high conversion rates from lead to in-office appointments, is a callback appointment added to every form. So this is a required field. And basically the idea is that a patient has to specify a time that they're available to get a call back from your office. Okay. So the reason this works is 2 reasons. One, if a patient isn't willing to talk to a person, they're not going to fill it out. They're not going to specify a time, which is okay, because if they're not really willing to talk to a person, they're not that serious. Well, then that's now a bunch of time you have not had to waste trying to follow up with someone that just wasn't really interested anyways. And so this tends to be most common on those screeners where someone like just kind of wants to take a quiz and see if it'll tell them information, and then it's not that serious about actually doing anything about it. You can't change those people's minds. In this way, you're at least not wasting your time with them. Okay, but then the other thing it does is that it allows the patient to tell you, hey, like, I'm going to be on my lunch break at 12:30 and I can take a call, or, this is a good time where I don't have meetings during the day. When I'm not picking up my kids from school, when I'm not making dinner, when I'm not in a meeting. And so it allows them to tell you that. And so that means now your staff knows that I don't have to waste my time trying to call them at 8:30 and then try them again at 10:30 and then try them again at 5. You can funnel the patients into the times that it's convenient for your staff so they can get other work done other times. And then at the callback times, place those calls, knowing that now the patient's going to be ready, specifically ready for a call from probably an unknown number, which is really key nowadays with so many spam calls that we get, kind of knowing you're going to get a phone call. No one answers these unknown numbers anymore. And so this just by itself drastically increases the number of people that actually answer the phone when your staff calls. So suggest working with your form provider on your website to see if you can add something like this to really help cut down the amount of time you're spending playing phone tag and follow with patients. But now this is where the automated part comes in, because if you have that widget on there, if you have callback times, now you can do automated follow-up based on that time and remind that patient that they're going to get a call from you. So this is a couple of things, actually. So one of the first things and most critical things is that it gets you in contact with them via email. So they're used to getting emails from you now, and text message, which is super critical for a reason we're going to get into in a second. You can design a system. There's lots of platforms for this. You can get Keep or Go High Level, or there's a whole bunch of different systems that do this. MailChimp will do this. I don't think that's HIPAA compliant. But then you can send them frequently asked questions emails. You can send them reminder emails, and we do a 10-minute beforehand text message. You should be able to customize this so it sounds like you and it sounds like your staff, but it's not you actually having to do it. It's just a system that automatically triggers it. And then, so the patient's much more likely to answer the phone when they've just gotten a text message 10 minutes beforehand telling them to get ready. Right? They're going to know the next call that comes in is probably you. So you can see a kind of example over here on the side. But then why else is texting so critical? I mean, look at the statistics here. I mean, the open rates on text messages are 95% versus 20% for email. And just anecdotally, I mean, it's people love showing off that they have 20,000 unread emails on their iPhone, but it drives people crazy to have an unread text message, right? And so we're in this world where email's good, it's important, but text messaging is you just get so much better response times from text messaging. It's just crazy. And so if you don't have text messaging in your system, even especially your EMR too, not just for lead follow-up, but for patient testing and follow-up, it's really good to have texting in for that as well. But then, hey, so after that initial callback appointment, something happens, and your system should really allow you to select what happened on that appointment during that phone call. The reason you want to do this is a couple of reasons. One, now now your staff is able to proactively say, hey, this person turned into a patient, or they didn't, and here's why, right? And so now your marketing company knows that, and now you guys can compare notes and see, okay, how are we doing? What's the return on investment here? What are our lead to conversion rates? Is our quality really good? Or hey, do we need to work on this a little more? And is it a lead quality problem, or is it a lead handling problem? Getting that data proactively is really critical. And so we just solve that via a little form that we just send via email, with drop downs for what the common circumstances are. And then the second part is this allows you to do automated long-term follow-up, which is, I would say, the highest return on investment opportunity for your practice right now. It is the lowest cost and it costs very little relative to like an SEO campaign or ads or anything like that, or like even creating social media posts. It's like kind of more expensive than you think it is. But building its email and text sequence once and then running it 100 times or 1,000 times just has so much repeat. The cost per kind of correspondence is so low and allows you to get so many more patients in the door. Maybe not this month, but over time. We're in this for the long term. Over time, it's crazy. But yet, it's also the thing that we see offices do the least often. And why is that? Well, it's hard. It's hard, and you're busy. Right? It's hard to remember to follow up with patients that weren't ready to move forward on that first call. Right? Because most of you don't have a tool to do this, right? So you're asking your staff to do it manually, right? So they have to set calendar reminders or task reminders to like follow up with this person, and then it rarely works on the first time, so you have to do it multiple times, and then you're writing the emails or you're writing the text every time, and like what number do you text from? And really, like especially if you're running a dental office and a sleep practice, like you're too busy to do this. You're too busy to keep up with it, and things just fall through the cracks. Like it's just impossible to keep up with, and usually it requires some sort of software experience to kind of like get set up. And so it's just too hard for most people just to figure out. But like if you just are able to automate all of this, build it once in a platform, make sure your forms go into there, you just automate it. You don't have to remember, you don't have to think about it. It just happens automatically by itself in the background, and you'll be amazed at how many more patients come back later. They weren't interested the first time, or they didn't answer the phone, but in 6 months they'll rebook because out of nowhere you're just like, wow, how did they find out? Oh, it's because we sent out this email. It just happens by itself. It's magic. And so let's set up the magic. There are 5 outcomes we usually see from the initial like phone call that you have with a patient to try when you try to schedule them to come into the office. Okay, one of them is that they're just not a fit for treatment. They don't have teeth, right? They have dentures. They can't get an appliance. They're probably not a candidate. But also maybe they're just mean. I don't know. Maybe they're rude and like you don't want to follow up with them. You should definitely have an option that involves basically just allows your staff to just say, we don't want to follow up with this person at all. Maybe it's Yelp calling you. I don't know. But there's 4 that do deserve some long-term follow-up, and that's number 1 is they turn into they're going to become a patient. They're moving forward. They're going to fill out the paperwork. They schedule a time to come in, or they're getting a home sleep test. They're having a consultation. Like they're saying yes, they're moving forward. Awesome. That is when they're going to go into your EMR, and that's where that will take care of patient paperwork and all of that. But hey, your automated correspondence can help you get more reviews, which is probably the second highest ROI activity you can be doing, is getting more reviews on your Google business page. And so, you can have this timed out for, okay, like the day that you had the first call and they scheduled, maybe 60 days out. Or I don't know if you're working with True Function and you get a 7-day turnaround, maybe it's sooner. You start asking them for reviews. Hopefully when they're getting their appliance and they're sleeping better and they're really happy with it, send them that Google review link in the text messages and the emails. There is a specific link if you have access to your Google business page that you can grab it kind of looks like this right here, and it will pull up not just your Google business listing, but the actual review box as well. So they can really easily click 5 stars, write whatever they want, and submit. If you don't know how to get that, email me later, and I can show you how, probably, if you have access. But you should be asking for reviews anyways in your office. But this is a great way to, again, have something just automatic in case you forget. We're all humans. In case your staff forgets to ask, this just has it happen automatically for you. Okay, and then there's the other scenarios where like, hey, maybe they're just interested. They didn't say no, but yeah, they didn't say yes either. And they have to think about it. They have to check their bank account. They have to talk to their spouse. They have to pray about it, like whatever. No problem. Hopefully you're following up, but you should just have an automated thing just follows up with them in 30 days, 14 days, gives them some time to think about it, but does an automated follow up with them, and tries to get them to get back on the calendar schedule or give you a phone call and get you back, get them back going. So you don't forget about them. Because a lot of times those people will say they're interested and they'll get busy with life and they meant they were interested and they just kind of forgot about it. Life happens, you forget. And so back to they don't have enough urgency, and so things just kind of fall through for them too. And so make sure you're in front of them again. The texting is where you're probably going to get the best response. Now there are other patients that are going to say no. Whatever reason, probably it's usually financial. They're going to say, "Hey, it's not the time for me. My deductible's too high. Thanks for no thanks." You should follow up anyways. It's free. They're not going to get mad at you. The worst thing they're going to say is no again. And so you should just follow up and say, hey, like sometimes things change. We've seen leads generated a year in the past come back and turn into delivered appointments, delivered appliances. Sometimes maybe they use their deductible since the last time you talked. And so just sending a quick email, again, automated, don't let your staff waste time with it. But that will get some patients back in the door that you would probably maybe never think you would have gotten back ever again. Follow up, things change. And then the last one is, hey, despite everything we did with the reminders, everything like that, you called and they didn't answer the phone and you left a voicemail. This happens in sleep. It happens in every industry. There's people that they fill out a form and they don't move forward or they don't answer the phone. That's okay. It happens about, I think we on average see about like 15% of the time this kind of still happens. Any more than that, and there's something that you should probably look into, but like 15% is still pretty normal. That's okay. Just again, follow up with them. This time you can be a little more aggressive. We send like 3 texts, 3 emails like pretty quickly. Hey, looks like we missed you. Here's the link to reschedule again. Let's talk. We're looking forward to talking soon. But again, I'm hammering this. Like the texting thing is really key because I all the time we see this where if you check your text messages, you'll see that person a lot of times missed the call for a simple reason. Maybe they walked away from their phone for 2 minutes. They come back to see your voicemail. And what do is they text you back and they say, hey, shoot, it looks like I missed you. Can you just call me back? Or because you're in kind of via text message, you send that text 10 minutes before text message. A lot of times they'll say, hey, sorry, something came up. Can we reschedule? It's very easy. They won't call you to tell you that. They'll text you to tell you that though. And so a lot of times we find that people aren't like maliciously not answering the phone. So life happens. And but being in contact with them via text message allows them to kind of communicate with you in a way that they really like and it's convenient for them to get the right time again and get on the right call and actually get connected and move forward. Okay, so those are kind of the really big like new lead type follow-ups that you can do. But our experience in sleep has allowed us to find out that there's all kinds of opportunities to automate patient follow-up and patient communication where appropriate. So we're going to run through a few other scenarios that you can automate. And I think we're coming up with new ones all the time just based on what our clients are requesting or new scenarios. The first one here is a CPAP follow-up. So some of your patients, they're going to test really severe, and they're going to need to get a CPAP for insurance reasons, or just it's the right thing that they need to have. And what we found and what we were kind of requested from some of our clients is that a lot of times they find that the patient gets sent out for the CPAP, and then no one follows up with them to see if they're actually compliant. Even though we probably have all the data to know whether they're compliant, as no one seems to care. And that we unfortunately a lot of patients like they use it for a while, and then they reach out to you for a reason, right? They didn't want the CPAP a lot of times, so they get the CPAP because they have to for insurance reasons, and then they hate it, and then they throw it in the closet, and no one really follows up to try to get them to do something different. And so, you can be that person without having to think about it. Okay, so if you have a patient, you just have a tag for them in your system, and maybe give them 90 days to see if how it's going, and then in 90 days, you send them an email and, hey, like, how is it going with your CPAP? I want to make sure the treatment is working for you. Are you using it every night, all night? If not, like maybe we should talk. Maybe there's something that we can help you with to kind of make it work, or maybe an appliance. Maybe we can help you get an appliance because something's better than nothing. And so you can just be able to just be there for that patient without having to, again, like, think about it, or having to record in your system, because hopefully pay patient it's working for them. But this is kind of a nice backup to just have more patient care, and make sure the patients are getting the treatment that they need. How many of you have sent out a patient for a home sleep test and never heard back from them again? It's all of you. I know it's all of you, because it happens to everybody. A lot of times it's like a bigger company, or maybe it's even a local sleep physician. You keep sending them referrals, hoping they'll send you patients back, and you just never hear from them again. And so what we've been doing is sending, like, we just did a follow-ups for like home sleep testing. Like if a patient got delivered a home sleep test, you mailed them one. If it's been like 2 or 3 weeks, you should have an email and text message go out like, hey, like, did you take it? We haven't heard from you. If you're having any trouble with how to use it, like, we'd love to give us a call. We'll like help you, walk you through how to use it. A lot of patients, yeah, we just hear this all the time that like, yeah, we never heard from that patient again. And so you should really just have a thing that automatically follows up with them to try to get them back into using it. It'll bring some patients, it'll help them get them through the process. If you are working with physicians, to get physicians referrals, everyone's programs are different, but the ones that we try to help with are where the physician is giving the patient your information, and then the patient is supposed to reach out to you, and they put in the patient's hands, and then they never reach out, and you're kind of wondering why this doctor isn't referring you any patients, and the doctor thinks they are referring you patients. And so what we've been doing to help our clients with this is building you should have a page on your website with a form for physicians with all the information that they need, the fax number, everything, but a form that allows them to give you all the patient's information. You can get the patient's info, and now you can proactively reach out to that patient. Hey, Dr. So-and-so gave us your information. We heard you're having some trouble sleeping. You are snoring. Can we schedule some time to talk via phone? It's really quick, and then decide on next steps. Really easy way to make sure that you're getting the referrals. It makes it easy for the office staff to send you referrals with just a form. And then it allows you, again, like, don't leave it in the patient's hands to move forward. They don't have a lot of urgency. They really don't like, oh man, I have to do more stuff. Like, I don't want to do it. This helps you get in your hands, allows you to have a conversation with that patient and move them forward and get the most out of your physician relationships, by having a form like this, and then backing it with an automated sequence to get that patient to schedule a time with your office. And again, automation doesn't mean you can't also like call them also. Like you can do that, but having the automation also really helps make sure this is happening without your staff having to having it all be on your staff. Okay, and then the last one, and this is what we would consider our special trick, our second special trick for this webinar, is our automated end of year insurance benefit follow-ups. So this happens around beginning of September for us. But what we typically find is that at the beginning of the year, we get a lot of inquiries and a lot of people unwilling to move forward for financial reasons. Because even if they have insurance, well, they have a high deductible, they don't want to pay out of pocket. So sorry, it's not the right time. Then they go through their year and they break their arm, or they take their their 2-year-old to the emergency room 3 times, been there, and now they've used their deductible, but they've forgotten about you. And so this allows you at the end of the year to really have a really focused campaign if you've been to all of your patients that didn't move forward earlier in the year. So I thought, if you, again, this is why marking those leads is really important, because now this system, if you've done it right, you have really good records of which of your patient leads didn't move forward. You can have this thing set up to just fire off to everybody that didn't move forward automatically, and start to ask them, hey, like, would you like to make sure you maximize your insurance benefits before everything resets at the beginning of the year and your deductible resets? Like, maybe your appliance will get paid for now, or at least partially paid for. Let's just find out. Give us a call or get on the schedule, and we'll see if we can get this thing covered for you now. And they'll be like, oh my gosh, yes, I would love to do that. We figured this out because we ended up finding out this is how all of the really big practices pack their calendars at the end of the year. This is why TrueFunction has the, hey, like, you gotta get the delivery to us by this time every year, because everyone is sending so many orders in, because a lot of these big practices are doing what we're talking about here, except they're doing it with like staff manually calling all of these patients. You don't have the staff for that. You guys are busy. So just automate it. Text via an email, send like a bunch of text messages, time it based on like the last day that they have to really contact you. Add some urgency to the whole thing, that, hey, like, you got to get in contact with us before Thanksgiving, or else we can't get it in before the end of the year. So like, definitely give us a call soon. This goes crazy every year for our clients that have been with us for some time, or they give us other patient data. This breaks calendars. We have to kind of always be careful with how many people we plug into it, because it gets such a high response rate without you guys having to do anything to like follow up with them. So highly recommend something like this. Again, that is automated, because like, you don't want a cold call. Your staff doesn't want a cold call. You don't want to manage lead funnels. Like, you guys are medical professionals. Like, you're not marketers. So automation is really what allows you to focus on what you love and what you do best, which is serving patients, and not focus on serving patients and not doing marketing gobbledygook. We're just doing endless follow-up. So if you want to learn more about kind of how to do automation or how we do it, best practices, you can scan a QR code, you can email me. We have a link there for TrueFunction specifically. And yeah, happy to help you with kind of anything marketing related, but especially automation and how to get started.
Wow, that was incredibly helpful. I feel like I hear so often those exact things of, it's like I spoke to them, but then, nothing's moving forward, that type of thing. So those are super helpful. And thank you for sharing that knowledge. And yeah, I definitely couldn't suggest, checking out sleep apnea leads in more detail. They can help you with all that automation, just to kind of make things smoother for you guys, so you can focus more on patient care and let them kind of do the hard stuff on the back end. As a thank you, Lane, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. As a thank you, we'd like to offer you $50 off any of our patient brochures. So our True Herps and our True Dorsals, we have specific patient education brochures that you can throw in your waiting room to start that conversation with sleep as well. They're specifically branded for Herps or Dorsal, so you can kind of pick and choose which ones work best for you based on what appliances you choose. So that's running till mid next week. So feel free to contact us and get those patient brochures if you're needing them. While we're finishing up here, go ahead and add any questions you may have in the question box for us, and we'll address them here in just a moment. We have a couple more fun things coming up with True Function, so we'll share that while you're getting your questions in the question box. Our next thing that's coming up is we're partnering with Awaken to Sleep to do a really awesome one-day level up web course with Dr. Mayur Patel, who's our clinical director. I know if you're frequent of our webinars, you've seen him around here. We're running a really great early bird special. So if you register soon, you can get 50% off. So we'd love to have you. That's just one full day. That'll be in October. So just one full day, Friday. It is virtual. So we'd love to have you join us. You can scan the QR code for that if you want to join us for that webinar. Excuse me, that course. And then the next one, Lane. Thank you. Our webinar next month is specifically going to be on the ins and outs of all of our sleep apnea appliances. So it's going to be really exciting on all the details on how to titrate, what appliances are best for what situations. That'll be with our owner and founder, Frank Madrigal. So that'll be really exciting. That is on Wednesday, July 24th. So you can go ahead and register using the QR code there on the left, or go to our education page on our website, and we hope you'll join us. And if you aren't a True Function client and you do have any questions or want to communicate with me and start that conversation with how we can help you, the QR code on the right will take you to the form on our website, just like Leda talked about, where you can fill out some information and we can get a call scheduled. So from there, if you have any other questions, I know there is one in the question box, or you can raise your hand and we can answer any follow-up questions. I can unmute you. Lane, can you see the chat box? Or do you want me to read it off to you?
Yeah, I can see it from on.
Yeah.
The answer to this one on is not enough. The question is, are many offices communicating via text message? The answer is, like I said, like not enough, but more are, and it's implemented. So there's a lot of programs that you can buy that they will give you a phone number that you can use to do the texting. And so we use something called Keep, which they give you you text in the platform on the desktop. And so you can respond to your staff can just have it up on a window in your office. And as patients text you, you can just type back to them and text. So you don't need to manage any sort of like separate cell phone number or anything like that. Like a lot of these programs will have the texting function built in a way that it allows it to make it easy to do kind of in tandem with your emailing and everything like that. Is there any particular SMS app provider? I would say it depends. Well, so for us, I mean, we use a specific platform again called Keep that does this. There are others. There's one called Go High Level, which I believe is HIPAA compliant. You have to find one that's HIPAA compliant. So like everyone thinks MailChimp, and that's not HIPAA compliant. So like don't use that one. So like Keep works, Go High Level works. Those are the two that kind of come to mind immediately for how to do the texting. However, I'm sure there are like text only platforms that you can use. I think they take a little bit more setup, but those are definitely out there. Twilio is the most, that's kind of the company that does the most on the texting side, but that tends to require a little more setup than most people want to do. So again, I would recommend looking at Go High Level or Keep, KEAP. Or there's another one that has like a blue logo that I'm blanking on right now, but that's another one that's HIPAA compliant and can do all of this as well. And so, Missy, I hope that answers your question as well. Those are the two that come to mind, and then yeah, I have to think of the other one. If I think of it, I'll let you know. But again, make sure there's usually like there's pricing, but again, going back to the HIPAA thing, a lot of the companies you'll see they will quote you a HIPAA price. They'll quote you you see a regular price online, and then you'll find out that the HIPAA price is a lot higher. So just be careful before you start signing up for things, and then find out that HIPAA compliance is $300 more a month. I think Go High Level is like that. So something to watch out for when you're kind of shopping platforms for this. Anything else?
It looks like someone's asking what software can help with the automation.
Oh yeah. So again, Keep, Go High Level. Those are the two that that's usually the softwares that I see the most commonly used to do all of this. To like, you can bring leads into them, and then build your own tags that will fire off certain automations, and you can link them all together. And they're really intuitive and easy to work with. And if you're really advanced, you can use like ChatGPT to help you like write all the emails, so that you're not having to like come up with 10 emails. It tends to save a lot of time. So I would recommend that too. If you ask it the right way, it'll make a whole sequence of emails and text messages for you. So that's what I recommend.
So I think like one of the things, like the connection here is they'll do the text messaging like the Dr. Cha had asked, but then they'll also do the emails and the automations and everything. So it's a full system that does everything, not just doing the text messages or just doing the automations. It's all one system that does everything.
Yeah, you want something that's contained that can manage all of it, where you can really see. Like for us, we can see like in every contact record, like what text messages have been sent, what emails have been sent, did they open the emails, what automations they've been, kind of what they've been tagged in the past, and you can get a really complete picture of kind of where they've been and where where they are now. So preferably, you don't want to be linking too many things together. As far as like emailing and text messaging, it just gets complicated to manage that many different things.
Yeah, I understand. How do you approach pricing with the patient?
How do I approach pricing with patients? So this is how. In fact, I would sign up for the Awaken to Sleep and True Function course, because those guys are really, really good at those conversations and that coaching. I highly recommend that as a plug there. Yeah, Michael and Chad are just incredible. What we've learned is how I handle pricing is a lot of patients want to know everything and the whole thing right at the beginning before they've even been tested. And what we typically say is, hey, we actually, like, I don't know I can't really give you a price yet, because I don't know what your insurance is going to cover. And I don't even know we don't even know what you have yet. Right. I mean, especially if you haven't been tested, we don't know how severe it is. We don't even know if maybe you don't have sleep apnea. Maybe you have central sleep apnea. Maybe something else is wrong that the test is going to show us. And so let's just get you into the office. Let's get the baselines done. Let's get your insurance run. Let's figure out what you have and like what everything would pay for. Let's make sure you get the test first. Hopefully you can take your test results anywhere once you get them, but at least that'll tell you what you have. And then from that point, we can tell you, okay, you probably need an oral appliance. This is the kind of appliance you're going to need, and this is how much that is. Or maybe you need a CPAP, and then we'll refer you to someone that needs that. And so that's when you're able to have a better conversation about costs once you know what you're actually dealing with. And so again, so kind of this goes like a summary of that is like typically we're trying not to quote costs until you can get them in the office. And then at that point, when you're face to face with them, it's a bit easier to get a yes. It's really easy to say no over the phone to someone that you can't see. It's a lot. There's more impact when you're in person, and so your goal is always to get them in person. That's when you quote the price, and you kind of tell them, "Hey, let's get the test done. Let's get you into the office, and then we can kind of go over options and pricing once we have all the information that we need."
And just like you had said earlier, there's a big disconnect of like, why do I need this? Like creating that urgency around it and that type of thing. So you can do that all together with the pricing approach instead of just giving them pricing off the front and they don't know the urgency. So they just say, that's too much, that type of thing. It's really curating that. We also Wake into Sleep did one specifically on presenting treatment planning and that whole process. So feel free to email me. You should have got a confirmation from me. I'm happy to send you that copy of that webinar as well.
Yeah, recommend tuning into that. They're the pros at that.
Excellent. Does anyone else have any other questions we could answer for you this evening? All right. Well, thank you so much, Lane, for spending your evening with us. We really appreciate you. It's good to see you again. Hopefully we'll run into each other soon.
Yeah.
And thank you. We really like these topics are so valuable. There's so much more than just the clinical side of it. So we always love when we can get some different aspects of the practice as a whole.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. This was great. Yeah, I'm sure we'll see you soon. And thanks everybody for hanging out a little after. Appreciate it. Appreciate all your questions.
Perfect. Yes, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Don't hesitate to reach out to Lane or I if you have any questions. We're happy to do any follow-up clarification for you. We hope you have a wonderful holiday next week. The lab will be closed on Thursday and Friday of next week, so keep that in mind. If you have any questions or need anything, those 2 days the lab will be closed. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a wonderful evening.